Welcome to Out and About, and today we are not out and about. It is gross and rainy outside, so we are inside and we're going to do a little bit of cooking. Going to do a oven-baked baby-back rib recipe, and it's very easy. It's not quick and easy because it's going to take about 3.5 hours to get this done. But I don't know, maybe that is quick for ribs. I am not a barbecue expert by any means. When I'm on the grill, it's burgers, dogs, and steaks. I do not get into ribs and things like that on the grill, or barbecue, or smoking, or anything like that. But if you want to do really good baby back ribs just in your oven, without having to be an expert, this video is for you. It's basically going to be just a one rack of baby back. You could do a couple racks if you wanted to, if you had room. With a dry rub. And then a slow bake for 2.5 hours, and then some basting with barbecue sauce with the temperature lifted up a little bit for a while until it's finished. So it's really easy. So let's get going. I will get the ingredients together and go through those and how to do it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 250 degrees. And actually, before I go any further, I just want to say that I got this recipe from allrecipes.com. The contributor's name is John Mitzwich. Hope I'm saying that right. So anyway, thank you to that for that recipe. And I just want to give credit where credit is due. This is not my recipe, but I'm just going to show you how to do it. So first thing, like I said, preheat your oven to 250 degrees. And get all your ingredients together. So first, what we have here is a 1/4 cup of chili powder, half a cup of chili powder, a 1/4 cup of white sugar, 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Now with these sugars, you can use Swerve or some other sugar substitute. I have done it with Swerve white sugar and Swerve brown sugar. It's a 1-to-1 substitution. This is regular sugar. I just didn't have both Swerves white and brown for this recipe, so I just am using regular sugar today. But you can do it if you want to do a low sugar version. It comes out great. You don't notice the difference at all. So again, your white and brown sugar can be substituted with Swerve. And then after that, we have a 1/4 cup of salt. It sounds like a lot of salt. You know, if you do this a couple times, you can adjust. You can adjust all of these, make it sweeter, less sweet, saltier, less saltier, whatever. So 1/4 cup of salt, 2 tablespoons of black pepper. Freshly ground is great if you can. This is just, not freshly ground. It's just regular black pepper. And then right here we have a tablespoon of ground cumin, a teaspoon of dry mustard, a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and half a teaspoon of chipotle. So you can mix it up. This is actually slightly more than a half teaspoon because I do like it a little bit more on the chipotle side. So that's just me. So then you just go ahead and you mix all your ingredients together. Just stick those over there. So that's your chili powder and your white sugar, your brown sugar, your salt, your black pepper. Your next is your cumin. Oh, it's a little damp, so some of the things are sticking a little bit. Your ground mustard and your cayenne. And again, if you like it a little hotter, you can put a little more cayenne than that in there than what the recipe calls for, and your chipotle. So if you forget the amounts, just back up the video and you can see amounts. And then you just mix this all together. Pretty simple. The neat thing about this, and I'll tip this and make sure you can see it, this is going to be way more than you need for one rack of ribs. So you could cut all these amounts down if you don't want extra. The nice thing about this is, I'm just breaking up these clumps here. The nice thing about this is it keeps well. You can just put this in like a Tupperware, airtight Tupperware container, and then you have your dry rub anytime you want to do this recipe again. And I've done it several times, so you can just go ahead and use it again, and it's great. So the next thing you're going to do, so that's your dry rub. It's all set. A few little clumps, no big deal. So the next thing you're going to do is get your ribs prepared, and so you're going to need a sheet pan, a big or half sheet, or whatever they call it. And you're going to need to wrap that in tin foil, not the sheet pan, the rib. So let me show you. So as you can see here, I've got my sheet pan right here, and I've already, now this is 2 pieces of foil. I've kind of made a seam here and pinched them together. And what you're going to need to do is, let me just get my ingredients out of the way here so I run to work. What you're going to do is you're going to actually poke holes all up and down this rib. This is the meat side, and you want to poke holes in both sides. And I'm just going to tip this over, and you want to poke holes in the back with your knife and get that all, so your dry rub and everything can get down into the meat. And then, whoops, this one's being a little stubborn, probably because I'm hitting the bone, because I'm not paying it, not looking at that as closely. All right, so then, so once you've got that, like, you know, all done like that, you want to go ahead and you're going to coat both sides of the rack. So once you've got it all poked, and you're just going to sprinkle this on generously. That's probably quite a bit. I like to just get my hands in there. That's why you always make sure you wash your hands good when you cook, before you start cooking. So I just like to rub that right in, dry rub, get it rubbed in. And I try to even get it on the ends a little bit. That's not as critical, obviously. And this being the back, you just want to get it all in there. That's I probably put a little extra on here, and that's okay. Like I said, I try to even get the ends a little bit. That's a lot down there. So we'll spread this out a little bit more. Get some more on the ends, and then you flip it. Oh, my oven is preheated. So then you're going to flip it, and you're just going to repeat the process. You're just going to sprinkle this on there. So you should be able to do, you know, like at least 2, probably 3, depending on the size of the rack. This is a pretty small one. I kind of purposely bought a small one. And again, depending on where you get your ribs from, this is honestly just a grocery store bought one, so they're not, you know, but they're fine. I've used them before. You know, you don't, if you have a butcher that you can get these from, you know, that's obviously fresher the better. But you can certainly just use, you know, not all this, you know, I have a butcher nearby, but he doesn't have these, so once in a while he does, and I'll grab them. So I'm going to just grab a little bit more. And so that's about it. You're just basically going to, again, make sure that that's good and coated with your dry rub. And then you're just going to wrap this up. You want it sealed up pretty tight. You know, it's not super important that it be like perfect, but you want it wrapped up so you don't get everything leaking all over the place. And so then that's going to go in just like that. You've got it all nice and wrapped up. And that's going to go into the oven at 250 degrees, and you're going to put it in there for about 2 hours. You want it just to get it to, so you just want to get it tender. So about 2 hours at 250, and then you're going to take it out. We'll start debasing with the actual barbecue sauce. So let's get this into the oven. Okay, so these ribs have been in the oven for a couple hours now, and I've actually already turned the oven up to 350. But right now I'm going to take them out and start the basting process. So first thing we do, obviously, take them out of the oven. And they've actually, they want you to let them cool for a few minutes. For the sake of time, I'm not going to do that. Sorry about that. I'm just going to get some tongs out here, and I'm going to open these up. Let's see. So there you go. They look pretty darn good. Now what you need to do, and this is tricky, so it may go off camera a little bit, is they want you to get rid of those juices, which that's what the recipe calls for. That's how I've done it before. So I'm actually going to take this pan and put it in the sink, and take my tongs and Oops, I'm definitely gonna need these. Take my tongs and pick up the ribs. They're gonna be pretty tender, and then just try to dump the juices into the pan, and whoops, the ribs went in the pan too, but that's all right. They didn't go in the sink, they're in the pan. So you don't have to get all the juices out. Let's see, let's get the ribs back up. So, kind of juggle them a little bit. That doesn't usually happen. This is, so then, now you have your ribs, and you want to baste them with whatever barbecue sauce you want to make or use. I'm using a jarred sauce. It is True Made Foods, Central Texas. No sugar added. So again, I talked about during the dry rub using a sugar substitute like Swerve if you want to make these a low, put this down so you can see a little bit better. If you want to make this a low sugar recipe, and you can see the meat's pulling away from the bone nicely. But this has no sugar added, so it does have sugar, but only 4 grams per serving. Don't ask me how many servings go on here, more than one I'm sure. Just gotta grab a, well that's alright. So I just toss this on. And so normal barbecue sauce, store-bought, is gonna have more like 15 to 20 grams per serving, where this only has 4. So this is definitely a lower sugar barbecue sauce. And I've tried some low sugar or sugar-free barbecue sauces, which frankly were gross. This is one that my wife and I have used quite a bit, and we like it quite a bit. It is obviously not going to be as sweet as some, but it is, for low sugar, it is actually it has a little bit of tang to it. And I got this at Walmart, to be honest with you. And while I haven't seen it on Walmart shelves lately, it can still be had in some Walmarts, just not around me anymore. But you can get it online, either through Walmart.com or other places. I'm not sure if Amazon has it. So then you just flip the put these back. You just flip the ribs over. And you're going to do this again. Let me see if I can do this so you can see. There's not a lot to see. You're just putting barbecue sauce on and basting this. And get it nice and covered on all sides. And that looks great. And so then from there, you're just going to wrap this back up again and put it right back in the oven. And you're going to repeat this about every 10 minutes or so for an hour. So you're going to be doing this 5 or 6 times. So you're going to be doing this basting process 5 or 6 times. And you're going to use, a good third or so of that jar of sauce, and back in the oven it goes. And like I said, you just repeat that process about every 10 minutes. So we'll go ahead and set our kitchen timer for 10 minutes, and away we go. Okay, so I've basted this a couple of times now, and the last couple you want to leave the foil open. My timer's going off. So yeah, in the last couple you want to leave the foil open. So I've got a couple more bastings to go. So it's going to go back in. I just basted it again. It's going to go back in for another 10 minutes with the foil open, so you can get a bit of a crisp on it. Okay, these are ready to come out. Let's take a look and see what we got. All right, those look amazing. So let's just cut into them a little bit, anywhere, and you can see that those are done through and through. They should peel off the bone. I could put these back in for a little bit just to get them a little bit, but they come off the bone all right. I don't want to dry them out. They're pretty juicy, so I'm going to call that done. You could put those back in. You could baste them a little bit more, put them back in for another 10 minutes or so if you wanted to, but you don't want to dry them out. So you might just leave that well enough alone. The other thing I wanted to say is, previously I mentioned, storing. So this is just a regular glass, airtight container. That's the rest of my dry rub. So that'll store up nice, and that's good for a few more racks. And I've actually done this. Usually I finish it. I do the initial baking at 250 in the oven, and I usually do finish it out on the grill outside. Doing it in the oven, I just, it's personal preference. It comes out about the same. The one thing is, when I did it out on the grill, I spilled a bunch of the juice down in the grill, and that was okay. It didn't flare up right away, but the next time I went to use the grill, my whole family was over, and I fired up the grill, and my granddaughter was just a little baby. She was not near the grill, only I was. But when I lit up that grill, boy, the whole thing just caught fire, and on the inside, and I think it got up, the 600 degree temperature was pegged to about, well, you couldn't even read it. It was pegged, it looked like it was 800, 1,000 degrees. I don't know if it really would get that hot, but that 600 degrees was pegged, and then some. My oldest daughter made a comment saying, how cute, baby's first grease fire. Yes. Thankfully nobody was near it. I just shut the lid and it extinguished itself. And then the next day I cleaned out the grill, so I didn't do it the next time. So anyway, there you go. There's your easy oven baked baby back ribs. Again, it takes a couple, good 3 hours to do those, but they come out great, and trust me, we'll be enjoying those later on tonight. All right, so I hope you liked that recipe, that video. If you did, hit like. Hey, you could even consider subscribing. I don't know how many videos I'm going to be putting out, but what the heck, you might as well subscribe. And then if I do put one out, I'm going to taste this a little bit right here. Delicious. So these are great. Again, really easy. You don't have to babysit them until the end. And enjoy.